All right, I got 2 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and get rolling here. So I want to welcome everyone to the Demountable Concepts webinar about building supply swap body delivery, and this is part 2 of this week's 3-part series. And in this session, I'm going to cover how companies utilize our system to get their drivers on the road, making more deliveries in a single day. So a couple of things I want to mention. Everybody is in listen-only mode throughout the duration of the presentation. But if you have questions come up, please take note of them. I will allow time for questions at the end, and you can submit them directly through the GoToWebinar app on your computer or on your phone. So feel free to submit them throughout the presentation, or you can hold off until the end. But either way, I will cover all questions at the very end of the presentation for everybody as well. So with that, I want to thank everybody for the time and the interest in Demountable, and I'm excited to spend this time with everyone here and provide this valuable information for your future fleet and operations decisions at your company. Now, before I hop into the actual information itself, I want to just give you a brief overview of what I'm going to cover. And some of you may have been on yesterday's first session, so there may be some repeat information, but that's all right. You'll just be pros by the end of it. But the meat and potatoes of it will definitely be valuable for you. So first, I'll give you a brief overview of the company. Then I'll hop into the actual swap body system and the benefits of it. Then I'll talk about components and equipment options, as well as some additional support items that we offer. And then I will share my contact information with everyone. And this should run about 30 minutes, and that includes the questions at the end. The actual content itself will probably go about 20 minutes or so. And again, if you have questions come up throughout, feel free to submit them through the GoToWebinar app, and I will cover all questions at the end of the presentation. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. So Demountable Concepts, we are based in the United States. We're actually right in New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia, and we've been in business for over 30 years. And over those 30 years, we've worked with hundreds of building supply companies across North America, including many of the top 100. And our part in it is we manufacture the demountable equipment at our facility here in New Jersey, and then we work with your truck dealer and your bodybuilder to deliver the best in class product that we call Swap Body. Now, as far as who we are as a team, this best describes us. These are our 6 core values, and it's how we all work together so well and how we're able to provide this product. So we practice these internally, and sales, operations, engineering, fabrication, etc. That's how we all kind of mesh together and cohesively here, and we're able to provide this solution. But as far as you're concerned, we exert these core values outward towards our customers as well. And I think it's important because it's how we are able to keep our customers' best interest in mind, because we ultimately want to provide you a great product, and but we also want to be on your team and then grow with you. So we both win in this situation. So to help do that, we have this process in place that we've kind of evolved over the 30 years that we've been doing this. And really what this means to you is that we are going to be with you throughout the entire process. So when, the beginning in the discovery phase here, when we're having a one-on-one call, I'm going to be asking you questions to learn more about your business. You're going to be asking me about the system. We're going to really understand each other, and I'll be able to really understand your business and the application of this equipment so that I can go back to my team. We can engineer the best solution, then build it, execute, get it out to you, train your team on it. But then we're going to be there to support you throughout the entire life of that demountable equipment. So really, you're not just buying a piece of equipment from us, you're getting a partner that's going to invest in the furthering success of your operation. Because again, if you grow, that's great for you. You're getting more business, you're getting more revenue, and you're being more efficient by doing it. And we're also getting more equipment on the road. So it's a win-win for both of us. So now that you know who we are, I want to talk about why so many builder supply companies use Swap Body and how it all works. Now, before I get into that, let's talk about what it is. So Swap Body is a lean and efficient delivery operation, and it's meant to reduce loading expense while driving more quality deliveries. And that's really what we're going to focus on today, those more quality deliveries to your customer base. So the Swap Body system and the strategy is meant for deliveries within 100 miles of your distribution center, and it's best described as a tractor trailer drop and hook, but for straight trucks, as you can see in the picture on your screen there. So let's talk about how it's used. I'm going to show you a series of infographics here, and it's broken up into sections. Each section will light up green as I move along, and I'll bring you through each one in detail. So let's start off here. Section 1, driver comes in to start their shift, and they're coming into a preloaded truck. So that means they can immediately start making their deliveries at the beginning of their shift. Now, while they're out making deliveries, a spare body or two assigned to that same truck are standing on their legs back at your warehouse, and they're being loaded. So while the truck's out making deliveries, product is coming off the line at your warehouse, and it's going right into those demountable bodies that are standing on legs at your warehouse. So essentially, you are loading and delivering the same truck at the same time. It's the most efficient box truck on the market. All right, and what this does is it allows trucks to come and go throughout the day, because when that driver returns empty at the end of their delivery shift, they swap out of the empty body and into the full body, and it only takes 10 minutes. So it's a very quick process to drop an empty and load a full when your driver returns. So again, this allows companies to have trucks come and go throughout the day. So to sum it up, really, it's going to result in more deliveries being made per day, because you're eliminating a lot of downtime and you're driving driver uptime, but you're also lowering your costs. So I want to talk about that. Let's talk about driver productivity a little bit here. It's clear that there's many benefits, as you can see on your screen right here, but I really want to focus on those additional daily runs, as well as the increased driver uptime. So that quick swap time that I had mentioned, 10 minutes, once that driver is fully trained, 10 minutes to swap between bodies, that is going to offer you the ability to offer to your customers same-day deliveries in some of your markets, right? So again, we're talking about your driver gets done their morning shift, they come back, they drop a body, in 10 minutes, they load up a full. They can now leave for a second run, because they're still going to have time left in the day. They don't have to sit and wait for the truck to get loaded, because it's been getting loaded all morning as that extra body stood back at your warehouse. So now we're talking about you offering a value to your customer of same-day deliveries. We all know we're getting those phone calls from our customers saying, hey, I forgot to order this yesterday. Is there any way you can get it to me today? I'm in a bind. Now you have that ability to do it efficiently. You don't have to have drivers sit and wait while the truck's getting loaded. So this, for you, is going to provide a huge competitive advantage in your market against some of your competitors that you're selling against. So your sales teams will probably love this idea as well. Now, driver productivity is the next thing I want to touch on. So traditionally, right, trucks are getting loaded in the morning before drivers are leaving, and sometimes that spills into the start of the driver's shift, and that results in the driver sitting idle or even loading their own trucks. Now, a driver is hired and paid to make deliveries, therefore generating revenue for your company. If they're loading their truck, they're not generating revenue, they're just costing you payroll expense, right? So them sitting idle is preventing them from making those revenue generating deliveries. So when you preload your bodies the day before, your driver arrives in the morning, does a pre-trip, and then leaves immediately and starts making deliveries. And then again, second runs don't require that load time. They don't have to wait for the truck to come back to start loading it for the afternoon. They can start loading that spare body immediately. That way the driver comes back, drops the empty, hooks up to the full in 10 minutes, ready to go. Now, whether they're doing a second run or not, that truck at the end of the driver's shift is going to be preloaded and ready to roll for the next morning. So here's some real life examples. And those of you that were on the call yesterday will recognize this, but Pella, again, longtime customer of ours, over 20 years. They started off with a truck and 2 bodies. And over those 20 years, they've grown to have over 75 demountable trucks, over 150 demountable bodies across the country. Why? It's because of those numbers you see on the slide. Now, yesterday, I talked about that reduction, that top number, 25%, but today I'm talking about that increase in business. Now, I'll be honest with you, most times, companies don't enter into swap body thinking, I'm going to be able to offer, the Amazon Prime of building supply, same day. But what they find is that they gain those efficiencies back at the warehouse with those loading costs, but then they start seeing how quick of a process is, how easy it is to swap, how great it is to preload, and then they start toying with these same-day deliveries, these hot deliveries, and you could charge a premium for that too, honestly. So they're seeing this 40% increase in their business after they implemented it to reduce overtime. Pella said, wow, I can start making second shift runs or afternoon runs. And so they were able to add in a 40% more business per day by utilizing the system. Another good example of this is Ashby. Now, Ashby was struggling getting their drivers out in the morning. So this play was, again, to increase driver productivity and get rid of that downtime. See, they don't have docks. Ashby Lumber doesn't have docks. They're out in California. They have a pretty busy lot, right? But they have to ground load. So they're using their lift gates to lift product up, and then there's a guy in the body that's hand loading it off and into the body. So it's a long process. But by having that spare body stand in the yard all day long, they can do that long process throughout the day during normal business hours. The driver gets back at the end of their shift, park the truck, and then the next morning, they simply just hook up to that loaded body and they go. There's no more waiting for the body to finish getting loaded. They are literally starting their shift and they're out on the road. So they've been able to double the amount of deliveries in a day now, because now they can offer more product deliveries in their market because they know that driver is going to start and go immediately. So a couple examples there. That's just a few of the many that are going on across the country. Like I had mentioned, literally hundreds of building supply companies using this. So I'm glad I was able to share a couple of those instances, but I want to make sure you fully understand how this system comes together. So I'm going to touch briefly on the components that are involved, our part, our vendors' parts, and then also the options that you have available within this swap body system. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the chassis. Our part of this is called the chassis lifter. The chassis lifter is the component that raises and lowers the body on and off the chassis. So there are two systems. We have our hydraulic system, which is our legacy system and has been being built for over the 30 years that we've been in business. And then we have our newer airlift system that you see on the right-hand side. We don't expect you to know which one to get, but that's why we're here. Again, that's why we have this process. We're gonna work with you. We're gonna ask you questions to understand your business so that we can recommend which system is the best for your operation, because both have clear benefits. Now, as far as how it gets onto your chassis, typically these chassis lift systems are installed on your chassis at our facility in New Jersey. However, depending on the scope of the project, where everything's being delivered, how it's all going to come together, we have remote installers that we've partnered with over the years throughout the country, where we could ship a field install kit, and you can have your truck sent to them. They can install the lifter, body gets built, etc., and everything comes together. So again, we'll work with you to understand what the best way to do this and most economical way to do it is from a logistics standpoint. Now, continuing with the chassis, I want to go over some options that are available. So the first one is a liftgate. Yes, you can still have a liftgate with our system. Okay, so we will recommend one to you. However, if you're married, quote unquote, married to a specific brand of liftgate, we work with all major liftgate manufacturers, so it's not an issue. One thing I will note, as you can see in the picture on the left, when you demount the body from the truck, the liftgate goes with the truck. It does not stay with the body, it leaves with the truck. All right, and we're gonna build the bodies so that they're all compatible with your liftgates. Now, just like the ramp, just like the liftgate, you can have a ramp on your truck. It operates like any other walk ramp you've ever seen. When the body's on the truck, it pulls out, hooks on, and you can go up and down as needed. Same thing as the liftgate, the ramp stays with the truck. So when you demount the body, the ramp leaves with the chassis. However, with this particular option, we have building supply companies that like to do job site drops. So they will get to a job site, they'll drop off a 26-foot demountable body at this job site and leave it there for a couple of days so that the builders on site can pull product from it as needed. As you can imagine, a body that sits 50 inches off the ground is pretty tough to get in and out of. So we have made a portable ramp that you can leave behind with those bodies. So that is a definite option if job site drops is in your application. And then the last thing I will mention as far as the chassis goes, which actually kind of split between chassis and body, but you can have a forklift mounting kit added to this system. Now we're going to work with you on getting the information on your forklifts and your truck weight requirements. Like we'll work with your truck dealer on that, and then we're going to go back and engineer the best setup for this, but we can do this. It's not an issue at all. So that wraps up the chassis end of it. Now I want to get into the body. What you see on your screen is our part of the body. We don't build the whole body. It's a common misconception is that we build the body. We don't. We build the subframe, which is just the cross members, the long rails, and the legs, right? So what we do is we build this at our facility, then we ship it to your bodybuilder. So instead of putting their subframe in the production line, they put ours in, and then they lay the floor on top and build the walls up and the body up exactly to your spec. What does that mean? That means everything inside that body is yours still. You don't need to change. If you have E-track, if you have F-track, if you have poles, if you have D-rings, if your walls are FRP, aluminum, Duraplate, it doesn't matter to us. The only thing that's different about this body is that it is now just going to stand on 4 legs and it can come on and off a demountable truck. Now these bodies can be built from anywhere from 12 feet to actually 28 feet in length, and they could be 96 inches or 102 inches wide. Now, as far as legs go, I want to talk about that because we've recently made a couple of changes. Now, on the left-hand side is our legacy leg. Just like our hydraulic lifter, this legacy leg has been in use for the over 30 years that we've been in business. They are more than enough for most applications. Collectively, those 4 legs can withstand 24,000 pounds when the body is standing independent of the chassis. And again, it works for most applications, but we understand that not every operation is the same. So we went ahead and we designed this new swing leg. We call it the DIN standard leg. Now, swap body is extremely popular and it's used widely in Europe, in the UK. It's been used longer than it's been used here. They've been doing it for over 50 years plus. They're way ahead of us in the transportation game. So we traveled over there. We got some ideas. We kind of took this swing leg, adapted it, and Americanized it, quote unquote, and we came up with this setup. Now, why did we do that? These legs swing down rather than pull out, which I'll show you in a moment here. So it's creating less required space on either side of the body to deploy the legs. So it's great for tight dock spaces. But in addition to that, and more importantly, collectively, 4 legs can withstand 40,000 pounds versus the 24,000 on our legacy leg. And it allows the body to be forklift loaded from the dock without the need for a chassis underneath the body. So our legacy leg never really allowed for this. So it's a great new option for some larger lumber companies that are loading, bulk shipments or millwork carts. Now, to kind of put a visual to this, I prepared a couple of short video clips. So I want to show you the legs first. The first one is our swing leg. And again, these can withstand 40,000 pounds, great for tight dock spaces. As you can see, it only pulls out about a foot, swings down, and then the brace just comes up, attaches to the body base frame, and a pin, a spring action loaded pin, locks that leg tube in place. You do that again for the other 3 legs, that body is now ready to be lowered onto its legs and truck can pull right out. Now, as our legacy leg goes, again, 24,000 pounds works for most, but as you can see, it takes about 4 feet to pull out. So you need some space on either side. But if that's not an issue, it's just as easy to deploy. A brace goes in with a pin and it just slides into place. And again, you do that 3 more times, body's ready to be demounted. The last thing I'll show you is just a short clip of a truck pulling out and backing underneath the body in an effort to show you how easy it is. If your driver can back up to a dock door straight, they can back underneath the body. We taper the guide rails underneath so that a driver does not have to be 100% perfect. the body will shimmy itself onto the truck when you lift the lifter up. But again, we cover all this in training. So the last item I want to talk about as pertaining to the body, or the body styles. You can have any body style on top of our base frame built, and the best part is they can all interchange. So you can have a truck chassis that has our lifter on it. You can mount a van body on it today, take the van body off and put a curtain sider on it tomorrow, and then take the curtain sider off and put a flatbed on it the next day. So you can have one truck be multiple different bodies. Again, it's great for lumber locations that offer different materials and different product. You don't have to buy all different types of trucks. You just get one truck, multiple bodies, and you save on some upfront purchase cost expense. So now that we covered the components, and before I get to wrapping up and questions, one more important item I want to offer, and that's training. I've mentioned this a couple of times, but we understand that this is new equipment, so we're going to ensure that our new customers are very comfortable with it when they get it. We don't just throw you it and say, expect you to figure it out. So we spend up to an entire day training drivers, supervisors, warehouse personnel, maintenance personnel, basically anyone that's going to touch it. We want to make sure they're a part of that training. And then additionally, we provide manuals for future reference, and you can go on our website and download the manuals. There are training videos. We require all drivers to take a quiz up front before the hands-on training, and those quizzes are accessible to you later as well if you have new drivers that start. And we also offer virtual training and recertification training as needed. So we're here again to support you throughout the entire life of this equipment. So talk about some next steps. We should definitely connect on setting up that one-on-one call that I mentioned in the beginning, right? Because I got to understand your business, and I'm sure you have some more questions for me. And then we can really see about arranging a demonstration, maybe a live virtual event that we can arrange online so that everybody can log in, see the process as it happens. You can ask questions. It's very interactive. And then once we know exactly what the best solution is, we can get you some budget pricing so that you can see how it fits in financially. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. My information is on the left, and then my counterpart and colleague, Derek, he also works within the swap body world and building supply world. So we're both great resources for you. And at this point, I'm going to leave this up on the screen for anybody to take down. But I'd like to open it up for any questions that anybody has at this point. Again, feel free to submit it directly through the GoToWebinar app, and I'd be happy to address those right now for you. Somebody asked, do we work with Morgan? Yeah, we do. We work with Morgan Body, Supreme Body. Those are the two that we do the most business with. However, there are many other bodybuilders across the country that are set up to build bodies on our subframes. Even if there's a new bodybuilder that you throw at us, we have a very tight bodybuilder process where we can onboard a bodybuilder very quickly. It's not a long drawn out process where they need training or anything like that. It's pretty simple. Again, it's almost as simple as just taking their subframe out and putting ours in. Someone asked how much weight is added to the truck. So that's a great question. So yes, we're putting equipment on the truck. With our hydraulic lifter, the most popular used one, you're adding, that lifter alone weighs about 1,850 pounds. So you are adding weight to the truck. However, and our subframe and legs obviously add in as well. So that's where we get to asking you those questions, understanding your operation, the payload requirements that you have, and we'll recommend which lifter system is best. To expand on that, our airlift system is about 1,000 pounds lighter than the hydraulic system. So again, we'll be able to recommend the best way and the best setup for you. Do I need to buy new bodies every time I get a new truck? No, you don't. We build everything so that it is compatible for you. So, and it's most common that a body will outlive a truck. A demountable body will outlive the truck. So it's very common that our customers will keep a body they purchased 20 years ago and put it on a truck they purchased yesterday. but we build our systems so that you're able to interchange all them. Okay, and I want to mention one thing that gets asked a lot. You might not be thinking about it, but do I need a new lifter every time you get a new truck? The answer is no. So if you buy a lifter today, the great thing with our system is they last a very, very long time. 2 truck cycles to be exact, so 2 7-year truck cycles. So at the end of a 7-year truck cycle or truck lease, you can return the old truck. We can take the lifter off for you, the lease company or truck dealer, or you can take your truck back and then send us the new truck, and we'll put that old lifter back on it and refurb it for you so that it'll last another 7 years. That refurb cost is about half the cost of a brand new lifter. And I mentioned lease. We do work with leasing companies all the time. You can lease our equipment. You can buy our equipment and lease just the trucks. You can lease everything. It's all up to you, but we work with leasing companies to make that happen. We don't lease the equipment ourselves out. We only sell it, but we'll sell it to a leasing company and they can roll it into their lease program for you. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I'll mention a couple of things before I close up here. A recording of the webinar will be sent out about an hour or so from now. That way you can reference it in the future. You can share it as well with anybody else on your team. And also in the GoToWebinar app, you're able to download an all-inclusive PDF if you'd like, and you can take that with you as well. It'll pretty much cover everything that I talked about today, plus some more, because we do have a whole other system for remote deliveries that I didn't cover, but you can feel free to breeze through that. And again, you can always reach out to me. I'd love to talk further with you about it as well. So with that, I want to thank everybody again for joining me, setting aside time to learn more about the system and solution. And hopefully you've come up with ways to use it and see how you can get more productivity and more deliveries out of your drivers, and really look forward to speaking with you more about that. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and look forward to talking to you soon.